Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back. We are ready for Appleblossom the Possum. We're on page 120, chapter 17. Antonio and Hamlet scurry away from the house. They move along the edge of the yard, wedge their bodies under a fence, and then scramble up a hill to a pile of dry orange pine needles where it seems safe. Hamlet feels his whole body tense as Antonio wails, "What have we done? This is nothing short of a total fiasco." Hamlet's voice is just a whisper. "Right. Yes. But what's a fiasco?" "A fiasco is when your sister falls down a hole into a den of monsters," shouts Antonio. Hamlet grits his teeth. "I thought so. Yes, a fiasco for sure. But lower your voice. We don't want the whole world knowing that we're out here ready for the taking. That would really be a fiasco." Antonio grabs a handful of pine needles and breaks them in frustration over his knee. "It's our fault she fell. We frightened her." Hamlet waits for what he hopes is a respectful amount of time and then asks, "Isn't it a little bit her fault? I mean, she did go up onto the roof, and we did tell her to stay away from the monsters." Antonio snorts out his long pointy nose, and this sends several of the pine needles airborne. They lodge like pins in Hamlet's chest, and he cries out in pain. But Antonio doesn't even say he is sorry. Instead, he scratches the itchy spot on the top of his head and concentrates. "No, we did this. She was sitting up there, and we caused her to fall. And now it's going to be on us to save her." Hamlet's eyes got big. "How are we supposed to save her? I mean, really, it's not like I don't care, because I do. I care a lot. But I don't see myself as any kind of hero. It's not a part I rehearsed, and it's not a part I can play." Antonio will have none of it. "Heroes don't think of themselves as heroes, Hamlet. That's what makes them heroic. We've got to rescue our sister or die trying." Hamlet can't stop himself from stammering. Do you mean fake dying or real dying? Are we acting right now, or are we serious?" Antonio's eyes narrow. "We are not acting." And then he says no more. Chapter 18, page 123. Her name is Izzy, which is short for Isabella, but no one calls her that. Izzy is an only child. She has long wanted a sister or brother, and when she was old enough to express this idea in form of a strong argument, she was given a dog. She tried to name him Pal, since the plan, at least in her mind, was for an animal to be her best pal. But her parents didn't hear her, or at the very least, they didn't listen, because before she knew it, the dog was named Columbo. This name sounds to Izzy like a kind of coffee or wild elephant. Her parents explain that this name makes the dog a detective, but a bumbling one who wears a raincoat, which makes no sense because, of course, the dog doesn't do that. Izzy's parents think that this is amusing. She doesn't understand why. Columbo is a good dog, and Izzy loves him, but it is safe to say the feeling isn't mutual. Columbo's love in life, besides food, which always comes first, is his red ball. He wants to chase that thing for hours and hours, and Izzy doesn't have much interest in throwing a slobbery, wet rubber toy to a dog that will then run in circles. This leaves Izzy to sometimes feel even lonelier about not having a brother or sister than before she got the dog. And this is also because her parents spend a lot of time now on Columbo. Columbo demands that. He wants someone to throw the red ball 24 hours a day, which of course is not possible. On top of that, he gets his hair all over the furniture, which requires a lot of cleaning. And according to our parents, he can't be trusted. What they mean by this is that Columbo can't keep a secret. What they mean is that if food is anywhere within his reach, he will eat it. If you turn your back, Columbo will jump up onto the counter and bring down a plate of cookies with one gulp. He can easily swallow a whole stick of butter. He has found a way to consume an entire bag of bagels. a 2-pound box of chocolate that came all the way from France. Dogs are supposed to be allergic to chocolate, but not Columbo. The dog is, according to Izzy's grandma, a villain. But no one in the house really thinks of him this way, although they do admit that Columbo has successfully resisted a lot of training, which is why he sleeps in the crate in the kitchen at night. But it's a dog kennel and it's supposed to make him feel secure. While Columbo has not turned out to be the pal Izzy had hoped for, it doesn't mean that she hasn't given up on the idea of a close friend in her home that is a pet. She just knows the dog isn't the answer. It is Saturday, and that means that a regular routine of getting dressed, eating breakfast, and hurrying for the school bus can be ignored. On the weekends, Izzy's parents get up when they want to, and it's anyone's guess who will wander first into the kitchen and release Columbo from a sleeping crate. The dog is always immediately put outside to do his business, as her mother calls it. Izzy finds the whole idea of a dog doing business amusing. She can imagine Columbo putting on some kind of uniform and attaching a name tag. She sees him talking on his cell phone using a headset, the way her parents do even after they get home from work. She likes the idea of a dog sitting at a computer pretending to do business, but actually watching funny videos of other dogs. Maybe Columbo would work in a marketing. He loves anything that comes into the house in a brown paper bag. But then again, marketing, which is her father's job, doesn't have anything to do with a grocery store. When she was little, she believed that her father went shopping every day and that someone paid him to do this. She was disappointed to learn he was working in a tall building downtown and that the marketing he did was for a bank. Izzy's mother also has a job that is hard to understand. She's a chemical engineer. Engineers are people who know how to build things so that they won't fall apart. Izzy knows that math is behind the stuff they do. At least that's how it's been explained to her. So for a long time, Izzy thought that her mom told people what amount of chemical barrels were needed to construct buildings. Izzy didn't understand why anyone would want to make a tall building out of chemical barrels, but she didn't say anything. Then she discovered that it wasn't what her mom was doing. She was building things made from chemicals, but not buildings. She works in a lab that makes different kinds of shampoo. Izzy was shocked when she finally saw the place. It looked like a kitchen for scientists. Now Izzy opens her eyes and raises her arms and stretches. The house is just coming to life. She hears the door open and close to the outside. The young girl kicks off her covers and scrunches up her nose several times, which is how she always starts her day, when she decides that something in the room is different. She senses it. Then she hears it. Izzy stays still and holds her breath. There is a very low sound that she doesn't recognize. She keeps the air in her lungs and continues to listen. The sound is so soft, it is almost impossible to hear. It sounds like the lightest snoring in the world. And then a second thing hits her. There is a new smell in her room. Izzy shuts her eyes to concentrate. The odor reminds her of something. It's the smell of her thick wool sweater when it gets wet. Didn't her mom say that the smell is like sheep in the rain? It is a wild animal odor. Didn't they both laugh at that? But there's no sheep in her room. And there's no wet wool sweater. Being as quiet as possible, Izzy rolls over onto her right hip. She stares out the window to the hedge in the yard, and then she shifts her focus back inside the room. She sees a large pile of stuffed animals alongside her bed. Izzy knows this collection well. She is too old to play with these things, or at least she acts like she is, if anyone else is in the room. But she still has a soft spot for all of her toys. Now, as she stares at the mound, she suddenly feels as if her heart has stopped. Because right there in the center of the mound is something that she'd never seen before. Just at her side, close enough that she could almost lean over and touch it, is a real animal. The furry creature has on a bonnet that belongs to an old doll, the blue raincoat from her Petitine bear, and the black boots from her circus monkey. But even dressed this way, there's no mistaking that this animal is alive and asleep and insanely cute. Izzy works hard to keep breathing. How did the little animal get into her room, and why is it sleeping next to her bed? How did it come to be dressed in her toy's clothes? She isn't sure what she should do. Is this some kind of surprise? Did her parents finally understand that Columbo hasn't turned out to be a pal? Is this her real, true pal? And then she looks more intently at the small, furry face and realizes she knows this creature. This is the animal she saw outside 2 nights ago. This is the possum that waved to her. And it all makes sense in a new way. The possum has come to be with her. Izzy's first instinct is to go tell her parents. Yet something holds her back. Hadn't her mother seen a small mouse in the garage a few months ago and ran in a full-blown panic? Didn't a barrel-chested man named Stouffer come to the house and plug all kinds of holes with pieces of steel wool? Stouffer spoke about rodents and disease, and Izzy's mother was so worried she took notes. Sounds can be heard in the kitchen. Izzy's mother is awake. Her father, too. But the possum doesn't wake up. The possum is really sound asleep. Izzy takes a moment to think. The important thing for now is to keep Columbo out of her room. She feels certain that the dog would be nothing but trouble around her sweet, slumbering friend. So Izzy slides silently out of the bed. She grabs her favorite blue sweatshirt, which is slung over the back of the chair by the window, and she heads for the door. Before she leaves her room, she turns to look over her shoulder. An adorable possum with a fuzzy white face, long whiskers, and a bright pink nose is sleeping with her stuffed animals. And it is the greatest thing that has ever happened to her. Chapter 19, page 134. Izzy shuts the door to her room and moves quickly down the hall to her mom's office. She finds a piece of paper and a pen and writes, "Keep out. This means everyone. Privacy needed today." She then tapes the message on to the door. She feels reasonably confident that this will keep her mom and dad from going into her room. Thankfully, Columbo can't open doors. Izzy feels grateful, in this one instance, that she doesn't have a nosy brother or sister to worry about. She sees her dad first. He is coming in from the backyard with Columbo. The dog looks different, even more agitated than normal. Izzy smiles. "Hi, Dad." Her father answers, "Good morning, Izzy." But he immediately turns back to the dog and says firmly, "Columbo, calm down." Columbo seems to get even more excited. His tail wags, slamming into the wall, and he bolts down the hall, nose to the floor as if he's been hired to sniff out explosive. All that Izzy can manage to say is, "What is wrong with him?" Her father rolls his eyes. "We had some nighttime pests. Columbo must smell them." He turns in the direction of the dog. "Settle down, boy." But Columbo is having none of it. Izzy watched as he runs to the living room and goes straight to the fireplace. He is so excited that he uses his snout to push open the metal screen, and the next thing they know, the dog is standing in the fireplace ashes. That's when Izzy's mom appears from the kitchen. "Stop him!" But it's too late. Columbo now is thrashing around the chimney. He puts his paws up onto the back of the brick wall as his head and upper body disappear. Izzy laughs, but her mom and dad don't think it's so funny. "Get him out of there, Alex, please!" Izzy's mom is yelling now. Columbo's collar is no longer visible because half his body is up the chimney, and then he starts barking. The sound of his deep-throated alarm echoes up the brick shaft and adds to the general sense of chaos. And that's when Izzy noticed the footprints on the floor. They are small and barely perceptible. They head out of the chimney, not in. It figures that Columbo would be on the trail, but going the wrong way. Izzy runs from the room shouting, "I'll get a rag!" There's a stack of cleaning cloths on the ledge above the washing machine. Izzy grabs a handful, and instead of going back to the living room, where the commotion is only getting louder, she heads straight to her room. On the hardwood floor in the hallway, she can now see a trail of little sooty footprints. Izzy drops down on the floor and rubs them away, moving fast. All the while, she hears her parents in the living room wrestling with a maniac known as Columbo. And for the first time since the dog came into her life, Izzy is thrilled that the animal never follows an order. All right, boys and girls, that's all of our reading for today. We will start tomorrow on chapter 20. I hope you are enjoying this book. Have a great day.